Welcome back. Victory lap number 3. Smoking an Oliva, Serie, Melanio, Maduro. This is a new favorite for me. I don't know how to get that to focus, but man, had one the other night and just loved it. So hopefully this one's just as good. Been thinking about the idea of life as a journey, and maybe somewhat wrestling with that idea, but not in a bad way. Just trying to understand it, trying to hopefully maybe increase in my wisdom and understanding around that. And I've talked a good deal on this channel about the idea of playing the long game, which I believe in, like from a business standpoint, almost from a strategic standpoint. I would say wisdom or philosophy aside, it's just a better practice. But probably like many of us, like all my life, I've had impatience is a challenge. I get excited about things and I want to like go and accomplish it right now. And I see what's possible and I underestimate, and I don't think I'm wrong about what's possible in those instances, but I underestimate the amount of time and effort that it might take to get to that possibility. And I can take an impatient approach and not necessarily set myself up for true success that way. This is the lighter that always gives me trouble, so, oh man, that could have been worse. Let's toast this thing. Almost going here. But certainly what happened recently with Charlie Kirk has also put me in a mode of reflection and just clarified what's important to me. I mean, when Charlie was killed, he was 31 with a 1 and a 3-year-old, I believe. I was 31 10 years ago with a 1 and a 4-year-old, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. And so just thinking about the legacy that I'm leaving to them and through them, and just understanding that, like, that 10 years sort of feels like it went by really fast, and that gives me a different perspective on the scale of the timeline of things. I'm thankful for how I've grown and what I've learned and who I've become in those 10 years. And I'm starting to appreciate life as a series of eras, almost, seasons, and starting to see the value in some seasons that I didn't appreciate at the time. Maybe I didn't like them. The last 3 years have been one of those. It's been really difficult, which I've talked about a lot on here at this point. And the reason I talk about that, by the way, the reason I talk about that is because, as I mentioned, like I can see the possibility and see, I don't mean like I can see the future, but I can envision things in the future. And I don't believe that I'll be in this phase of discomfort that I've been in forever. And so I know at some point I'll be looking back on it from a vantage point of maybe having overcome some of the difficulties and a place maybe just of more comfort or success or whatever. And so I don't want to pretend. this little series, this Victory Lap series idea, as well as some of the stuff I've been doing on Instagram lately, is really in response to a lot of the online guru stuff where in order to sell my coaching or whatever, I got to get on here and basically like put on an act to make sure everybody knows how successful I am and how quickly I was successful, and I can get you super successful really fast, just buy my course. Like that whole thing, I just got fed up. I saw I'm actually going to do a video about this on this channel, but I saw this Instagram like post from a guru. And the advice that it said, and it's just like this, this one-liner throwaway BS that's like, double down, whatever. Basically, the advice that I read was like pretty specifically a factor in what helped create a massive amount of pain for me. And I just thought, man, like this whole game where we pretend everything's so easy and so quick for the sake of getting other people to buy in to us, to follow our account, whatever. There's no risk. That person can post that post, a bunch of people buy in and follow. And if somebody takes that advice and it harms them, it doesn't matter to that guy. It doesn't affect him. He doesn't even know that person. He doesn't care about them. He doesn't know what their business is. He, in a literal sense, doesn't know they exist. And that kind of burnt me out. So I got kind of fed up with that whole idea. And so the reason that I want to have these types of conversations is to not pretend that. So circling all the way back, the last 3 years, such a painful, actually the most painful era so far of my life. If you think of life in these eras, these seasons, the high school era, maybe a certain relationship is an era that you were in, or a certain job, or a certain struggle, this era, looks like roughly a 3-year era that I hope by God's grace might be sort of beginning to shift, is defined by this struggle, this pain. Totally defined by I remember a specific evening at home, working on my business and looking at the whole situation and going, I think I'm entering some pain. Like, I think this could be bad. I can see some potential problems here. And I'm beginning to appreciate that. What I'm thinking about is every era, every season plays a role in the overarching journey of transformation that I believe is the point. I believe the point is that we are transformed, that we are changed. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The word of life says that. Be transformed. So I think that the purpose is to be transformed into the person that you were meant to be, that I was meant to be. I think we have a model of that when we look at the life of Jesus. And I would say, even if you aren't a Christian and don't necessarily believe that Jesus was who he claimed to be, which was God, you can still look at his life as a truly remarkable, miraculous model of what it looks like to live differently and selflessly, gently, generously. So I've just been thinking about this process of transformation and the idea of transformation and being changed and looking at these eras. There's another era I would point to that was also sort of earmarked by difficulty, and that was right after I left the band Love and Theft. For those who don't know, I had I would say, somewhat successful music career for a while, and I was in a band called Love and Theft, and we did the whole record label, tour, radio, all that. And when I left, I had certain plans to do other things in the industry. None of them worked, and shortly thereafter I ended up going from literally touring like a 65-date tour with Tim McGraw and Lady Antebellum to working a retail job at Guitar Center. And I was deeply miserable and sad and frustrated, and similarly, like that is an era that I remember sort of based on that and the struggles around that. And I can now look back on it and realize there was some transformation that took place, and that in unexpected ways that period of time was important to me and to the journey as a whole. I did not like that part of the journey at the time. Then a friend of mine, so I was young, man. I was newly married, new baby. Career, I just torpedoed my career. I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek. It was the right decision at the time, but things didn't go the way I wanted afterwards. So, and I did what I had to do to like feed my family, basically, right? And a few years ago, a good friend of mine, Steve, shows up and he's got a gift for me, and I open it and it is a Guitar Center t-shirt. And he basically goes, I want you to change how you talk about and how you think about that part of your life. I want you to be proud of it now, because you stepped up and you did whatever you had to do to take care of your family, even though it sucked. And so I've changed that. And I take that principle now and I look at different eras of my life through a new lens, somewhat based on that interaction with Steve. Even good ones, I look at them through a new lens. And the lens is like, what role did that period of time play in my journey of transformation and becoming who I'm supposed to be? What era are you in? What you're experiencing right now, if you can step out of the immediate emotion of it, whether it's positive or negative, if you can step back and look at yourself as a character in a movie who's going through this full-scale story, right? This journey of transformation, of becoming. What era are you in, and what value does it have to your transformation? You are meant to be transformed. I think that's one of the unpopular and maybe misunderstood aspects of Jesus and Christianity, is that the idea is not slap on the wrist. The idea is continual growth and transformation for your good. And now, 40 years into my life, 41 actually, I'm able to look at it, and I've got a little bit of that behind me now where I can go, oh, actually, yeah, that was transformative and for my good. And when I realize that and I can reflect on it, I can be grateful. I can appreciate it. I can even look at seasons like the Guitar Center season and like the one over the last 3 years, where, to like really oversimplify it, I almost lost everything I'd built and had to, in many ways, almost start from scratch. It's painful after working your ass off for a couple decades. I can look at those with a spirit of gratitude, which is, don't get me wrong, I'm not always there. And I think that's the process of transformation, is maybe just the percentage of time that I'm able to see it that way slowly creeps up. Maybe instead of 20% of the time, I can see it that way 22% of the time, or 23 or 25, and like just begin to internalize a new perspective a broader scope and a broader view of the world and of my life and of the purpose of it all. That takes humility that I probably don't always have, because just like most or all of us, it's easy for me to default to it being about me and what I want, the recognition or the comfort or the success or the whatever, fill in the blank that I want. And it's not just about me. Those are my thoughts. And for anyone who is joining me for these little cigar conversations, it is my hope and my prayer that whether it's 5 people or 500 people or 5,000 people, whoever hears it, that something resonates and speaks to you and causes you to think and makes you a little bit better. Maybe it contributes in some microscopic way to your transformation. Just sitting here talking about it contributes to my transformation. That's Victory Lap number 3. God bless.